Hey y'all, welcome to the show. I am super excited because I have a very special lady with me today, Donise Cherry. Donise spent quite a few years in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. Her and I know each other from the Dr. Lane Murray unit, and we've seen a lot of bad stuff while we were down. But Donise is here to help me answer a few questions. You guys have been asking about religion in prison. And guess what? She has all the details of how how the religion is worked in prison, what the prison allows, what they don't. And she might even have some insight as to how it's changed. So, Donise, how many years did you do? How long were you locked up?
I was locked up 33 and a half years.
How long have you been home?
I've been home 5 months now. April the 3rd made 5 months.
Just real quick, Donise, I noticed your email is a student email. Are you,
Well, before I was released, I was sent to the program for FI2s, which is the STRIVE program at Mountain View. And the STRIVE program teaches you how to reintegrate back into society. And it also help you to start filling out job applications. It gets you your birth certificate, your ID, all the things that you need for when you enter society. You have interviews, virtual interviews at Strive with the company that you put in applications with. You also have several jobs before you leave. So when you step out there, you're not stepping out there into the unknown. You are stepping out there with a job.
I had no idea that you got to participate in that program. And
Yes.
I'm part of an advocacy group, and I feel like you might already be a part of it. It's Lioness.
I joined it on site when I saw it. I joined it. You know, I appreciate what Jennifer's doing because it's been a lot of us that's been so broken inside that place. I mean, it's hard. It's hard for those who go in there that's kids. Me, for one, I was a kid when I caught this case.
How old were you?
I was 15 when I caught this case. And being in that place, you had to adjust. It was either going to break you or you was going to make yourself. A lot of people don't understand that even though those guards are there to protect us, a lot of them harm us. A lot of them do dirt. Uh, a lot of them allow themselves to let those uniforms make them.
We talk a lot on my platform about how our current prison system it's harmful for everybody involved. It's harmful for the people that are housed there. It's harmful for our families. And in that way, it's harmful to the communities as a whole. It's harmful to staff that work there. And just like you said, we came across lots of officers that very much cared about people, and we
You did?
came across officers that did so much harm and caused so much trauma. And I think I didn't know that about you, that you were 15 when you went in the system. Like, what was your sentence?
My sentence was a 90-year sentence.
So, a decision that a 15-year-old child, a 15-year-old kid made took 90, it was a 90-year sentence, took 33 years of your life. So, you're home on parole.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a monitor?
Yes, I do.
I want to talk about that too.
We can.
Um, I, I didn't. We came to talk about Ramadan, but baby, you have a whole story. And I did come home with a lady that you might know, Miss Cummings, Laura.
Yeah.
She had a monitor, and she had so many problems with her monitor. And so
Well,
I'm just, yeah. Tell me about yours.
okay. I do have a monitor. They put it on as I was getting ready to walk out the gate. You know, I do have a curfew of 9:30 at night. I can leave at 7:30 in the morning, as long as I'm back in my destination at my house at 9:30. But above all, To be surprisingly, I'm on the highest level, but the lowest level. Does that make sense?
Well, like you're on the highest level, but it sounds like maybe you've earned some trust.
I have. I have. On the weekends, I stay out from anywhere from 10 to 12:30. Uh, as long as I'm where I say I am. Uh, for the most part, my parole officer, she's okay, and I uh, I basically do what I need to do. I turn in a schedule for 2 weeks. I go see her. She comes see me twice a month. Other than that, I have free reign as long as she knows where I'm at. You know, um, I come up in May to see if I get the monitor off of me. It's crazy because it's not often that your parole officer tell you she's going to recommend for your monitor to come off. And I asked her why she said it. She said, because you're about the best client that I've ever had. She said, I have no problems out of you. You keep your monitor charged up. When you feel like you going out of pocket, you call, you let me know, or you ask if it's okay. She said, most people try to take their ankle monitor off. She said, you haven't even touched your ankle monitor. But I see no reason. God gave me a second chance. And that second chance is up to me. I made a mistake when I was a kid, but this is a mistake I'll never make again. I hate for my freedom to be taken. I hate to be told when and where I can go, what time I have to be back. But it's all in God's planning.
I think it's beautiful. It says a lot about you and so many of the women were incarcerated with. They have such a heart to do right, to do good. And I think that people like you, Donise, are breaking the stigma of what society thinks someone that did 33 and a half years in the penitentiary. And it's awesome. It's amazing. Donise, you're Muslim.
Yes,
You were Muslim in prison.
yes.
Were you allowed to go to Muslim services? Did they allow that? How did that look?
Well, yes, we was allowed to go, and our designated day is on Friday evening. But a lot of times we would have problems out the officers calling us out, or the lieutenant telling them that it's our service, our primary service. So we would have to write grievances because they didn't want to do the services because it was Islamic. It was more or less us fighting against security because they'll make up every excuse in the book that they didn't have the security to go down there, or they couldn't do this, or the chaplain they put us on a schedule. But when we have a meeting with the imam and the chaplain together, she shows us the paperwork. She got us on schedule. It's not her fault. She's not there on Fridays. So it's basically up to the lieutenant to call out. So we always had to have our family members or somebody to call the warden to let them know we can't have our primary service. We only have one service, and that's on Fridays.
Is Friday a normal day for worship for the Muslim religion? Like, are the people in the free world, is that what day that they would normally meet?
Yes, and
Okay.
they also meet for open call. I mean, we're supposed to have open call, but open call is not given to us in prison anymore. I guess due to the lack of staff, or how they say the COVID. So they limited every religion to one service a week. Challenged because at one point in time, we had a chaplain who didn't like Muslims, and we had to go through grievance after grievance, just fighting for what's rightfully ours that we could not practice. We had to go to Chaplain Hunter several times in order to get to our imam to even try to get our service.
that's so tricky because there definitely is legislation in place that gives incarcerated individuals the right to practice their religion. Each unit employs a chaplain. The chaplain is responsible for making sure that those incarcerated individuals are allowed to practice their religion. The thing that I noticed though during my entire incarceration, and it was about 5 chaplains, maybe 6,
Right,
they were 100% Christian.
right.
Did you feel like maybe that was a bit of a challenge, right?
It was a challenge. It was, but in Islam, it teaches you to humble yourself. And a lot of times, you got some that they play like they Islam, but they also want to learn. So I can't be judgmental as far as uh, their preference. What I can say is this, to them be their way and to me be mine. And all I can do is humble myself on my end and do what I need to do. And that's what I did. If I had to write every grievance and just let the other girl sign it, that's what I did. Every 7 days, I know I was writing anywhere from 20 to 30 grievances.
I didn't grow up with any religion, but I do live in Texas in the Bible Belt, so my knowledge is of the Christian religion, right? But I'm not knowledgeable about your food restrictions and Ramadan. I know vaguely that Ramadan is about a 30-day, and I know it's fasting during the day. Can you tell me well, let's start with the regular meals that are served in prison. Breakfast is like at 4 a.m., lunch is like at 11 a.m., and dinner's at 4 to 5 p.m., right? So those hours don't work during Ramadan for the
No.
Muslim. Can you tell me about that? Did the prison accommodate that for you?
Well, of course, yes, they did. That's something I can't say they didn't do. Uh, the email made sure that we had a list to go by and that the chaplain put out the list to every building inside the picket to let them know what times we were supposed to turn out, what time they supposed to call us for close, what time we supposed to go to the chaplain. Now, need to say this up front. A lot of times we had difficult problems with that because you have a lot of officers that like sleeping in the picket. So they don't hear a lot of announcements over the radio. So when you go to the picket at 3 something in the morning, getting ready for close for Ramadan, they be like snappy. Well, they ain't called. Well, ma'am, y'all have a whole list right there on the board. These are the people that go to Ramadan close, and we need to get back so we can go to breakfast to go to the chaplain. So a lot of times, if you wasn't all right with the officer, they wouldn't call. They'll turn over like they didn't see you, or they don't hear you, or they'll tell you to get away from the window, or something like that. If you don't have somebody going out to have the lieutenant or the sergeant to call, you're basically stuck right there. Because without the officer opening up the door, how are you going to get out?
Did you find that that was kind of the routine for everything that happened in
Yes.
there?
Yes. A lot of officers knew I didn't play about my religion, and they knew that I didn't mind writing a grievance or having my family members call. So a lot of times they never disputed what I said or asked me about it. They just looked at the paper and let me out. Now, with that said, medium custody makes it hard for a lot of people to come out. So when they couldn't come out, I would try to get them out because that is their religion. But we all know when one person mess up, the whole building pay for it. So nobody comes to service but the rest of the population. Medium custody is locked down 24 hours. As far as our meal, we had challenging things as far as the kitchen because you had people in the kitchen that they want to know why they had to cook our meal separate, or they didn't feel comfortable cooking it, or they'll put back something though old. But At one point, they even tried to feed us pork.
Mm.
So we all wrote that up because nobody ate the food that night. If it wasn't for us going to commissary, we would have been in trouble.
I want to talk about that too. Are you allowed to share commissary food in prison?
We're not allowed to, but we still do. We even if we have to sneak it to them. I could never see anybody go hungry. I just can't see it because if you're hungry, you're hungry. Not everybody have the means or the support behind them to go to the store. And I get it. Money don't grow on trees. But at the same time, would you like to go hungry?
A lot of people are curious about that. A lot of people don't realize that it is a rule. If someone is hungry, if they were too ill to go to the chow hall, if the chow hall served pork on the day that when you don't eat pork because of your religion and you didn't get to eat, or if you were denied chow, because that happens, right? We still look out for each other even though it is technically against the rule.
It's basically called trafficking and trading. It's called trafficking and trading. I've had many a trafficking and trading cases of giving somebody something, and I've even had a failure to be a direct order case because I wouldn't give it to the officer. If I can't give it to them, why would I give it to you for you to throw it in the trash? So just write the case. It's hard. And then you got some people that do take advantage of people that do go to the store. You ask them to make you a $5 or $10 list and of what they need and then what they want. And you'll get a list for something they want besides what they need. In Islam, it's called zakat, which is charity. So I don't put a price on it. I just give it to you.
I want to go back to the food because for people that aren't familiar with the Muslim religion and aren't familiar with the restrictions, now you said pork, so it's no pork. Are there other restrictions uh, during Ramadan or not during Ramadan? Are there other dietary restrictions?
Well, during Ramadan, which is this month, which they are doing Ramadan right now, alhamdulillah, um, we're not supposed to eat before the sunrise. Well, we eat, but when the sun is at its peak, we can't drink water, anything, eat anything while the sun is up. When the sun set and we break fast, then we're allowed to eat. So it's basically throughout the day. It could be the hottest day of the day. You are not allowed to drink water or anything, ingest anything. That's where you rely on Allah, which Allah means God in Arabic. At first, when I first started 29 years ago, uh, it was hard for me. And that's the reason why I don't judge anybody else that changed their religion to Islam because at first it's hard not to eat or drink anything while the sun is up. It's very hard, but you got to be willing. If you want God to do something for you, then you got to allow yourself to give God something in return. He's not asking you to give your life. He asking you to fast in his name. And it took me a minute. That first Ramadan tore me up, Marcy. It tore me up. But I was ready. I was willing. I was looking for some peace. Um, I was looking to find what I couldn't find in myself. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
Oh,
I was just thinking that I wanted you to talk about how your religion helped you do your
and to
time.
and to really tell you the truth, Marcy, when I first started almost 30 years ago, I went for the wrong reason. I went behind a girl. I went for the wrong reason. I went because my girlfriend, that was her religion. But in the process of everything, I learned I learned a lot. I went for the wrong reason and came out with something God wanted me to come out with. And after we broke up, I still went. I was bound and determined, and that's how I found my peace. That's how I was able to deal with my mom's death. You know, I had a lot of obstacles that I had to face while I was locked up. And for the most part, it was nothing but a lie that kept me humble at the times I needed to be.
I'm so glad that you found that, Denise. I'm so glad that Allah was able to help carry you through so many hard times through there, because I know over that amount of time, there were lots of days that you could have easily given up.
At one point, uh, I just felt like I was a failure, Moisey. I just felt like what my mama set out for me to do, I just gave her heartache. And I feel like there was nothing else but for me to find my inner peace. You know, deaths kept hitting me back to back. I just felt like at one point, Allah was just giving up on me because I was giving up on myself. It really started with the fact that when I lost my grandmother, uh, I just felt like I let her down. Then after she died, uh, I had an uncle to die. I altogether had like 12 people to die on me in less than like six years. Uh, I almost lost my brother before I came home. Uh, then I lost my mom. Then I lost my mom's brother. You know, so I was faced through a lot. And once it throughout all that, it was nothing but a lot that kept me still. Because the whole time I was in prison, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I was a saint. I wasn't. I fought. I fought and I fought. I was in and out of said. I was in and you name it, I did it. But when I found my peace in Islam, that was only through God. That was only through Allah. Because I seeked him wholeheartedly. You know, I saw parole 10 times before they let me go. That was nothing but a lie.
Do you? I want to talk about two things, but you mentioned parole, and um, there is a bill in legislation right now, House Bill 353. It's the Common Sense Parole Bill. I'm wondering, you got denied 10 times. Do you mind sharing some of the reasons that the parole board gave you for denial?
Well, the first time I got a set off was a 5 year set off. Uh, they said my disciplinary in the nature of my crime, which will never change. The second time I saw him, it was the nature of my crime. Now, mind you, every time I've saw him, I have been a stat 4 or a stat 3. I have had all my lines. The third time was the nature of my crime. The fourth time was the nature of my crime. The fifth time was the nature of my crime. The sixth time was the nature of my crime. That's all they kept giving me, all the way up until my 10th set off.
Those of you guys that may not understand exactly what that means is that so the nature of her crime obviously is something that will never change. She committed her crime at 15 years old. That happened. It's never going away. At 15 years old, she saw a judge who said, "You have a 90-year sentence, and on at this time you are eligible for parole." He judged her. What the parole board is doing is continuing to judge that same crime that people have already been judged on. So, House Bill 353, what it will do is it will make the parole board say, what do we think she needs to be better when she gets out? Is it a program? Is it a class? It has nothing to do with what she's already done in the free world prior to her incarceration. For someone like Denise, if House Bill 353 was in place, she very well may have been home years ago. And that's my story too, Donise. It's so important. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that very much. Back to being a Muslim in a Texas prison. How does your religion pray? I remember seeing some prayer rugs.
My prayer rug is right next to me, but no, prayer is better than sleep. We pray 5 times a day. Sometimes if you get a little busy or you at work and you can't get out when it's prayer time, you double up on your prayers, but you can only double up on your prayer an hour before the other prayer. A lot of times you don't get a chance if you're busy and you're somewhere and you can't stop. You can ask the boss, hey, it's prayer time. But some people feel that your religion should be in your cubicle and not at work. So you have to be careful with that. But for the most part, as a community, we normally do the last prayers together as a community because we be down there. But if you're in your cubicle and you're doing incel Ramadan, then you do your own prayers. We do have a coordinator. I talk to him mostly every day. Everybody, if don't nobody know, I mean, her name is Talisa, but they call her Prime. She is the coordinator. I left her. I was with her as the coordinator, but I'm home. She been having a few minor setbacks too, so I've been calling down there for her. They still been having problems about getting out,
Mhm.
to do their religion, to practice Islam. So I've been talking to the imam as well. So we're trying to come up with something better than what they're giving them. For the majority of the time, I pray to Allah all the time, even in my head. I mean, before you do prayer, you're supposed to do wudu. Wudu is washing of the face, hands to the elbows, behind your ears, ingest water in your nose and let it come out. It's to cleanse you before you get on the prayer rug. You're not supposed to be on a prayer rug on your cycle because you're unclean. So you do dickers. Dickers mean it's you're just giving praise to Allah. It's alhamdulillah, subhanallah. Really, Islam is not a religion. It's a way of life, and a lot of people don't know that. It is the way you live your life in a humble environment.
You were a coordinator when you were
Yes,
incarcerated. You
yes,
helped organize, you led a lot of ladies, you helped them, you guided them, and now you're home and
yes,
you're in contact still with the coordinator now, and you're in
yes,
contact with the prison to
yes.
try to help get the ladies to be able to celebrate Ramadan. I love that. I think that's incredible. Thank you so much for that, and thank
You're
you
more than
so
welcome.
much. It was so good talking to you, and I wanna do this again, right? Because
Hey,
you have
anytime,
okay. So
anytime.
don't say that, I might drive you crazy, but one more time for sure, for sure.
Hey,
Yeah, it was
anytime.
such a pleasure. Thank you for sharing your insight about Ramadan and the prison system and the few other gems that you gave us. They were so important and so incredible. Thank you, thank you.
You're more than welcome.